Welcome to That Talking Podcast. I'm JJ Starr.
And I'm Downtown Andy.
Welcome, welcome. We are here to talk. We are here to bring some civil discourse to an otherwise discordant world. Andy, how are you?
I am beat.
I'm beat. I'm beat for you.
We just came from the, I think, 13th annual MS benefit
like
at
that.
Sugar Hollow.
Yeah.
MS 13.
No. No.
That was the running joke. So our friends, one whose mother passed and another whose father passed from MS, we've held an annual fundraiser for 13 plus years now, and all local musicians come out and have a good time and raise money and awareness and support each other.
And I mean, do not get me wrong, it is an amazing cause. I've been going for the last 2 years now.
Yeah.
I think this is my third. And this is my second or third time going. And it is, quite honestly, we are the same crowd that shows up to support this cause. There are very few new faces there.
It's an excuse for old friends to gather and sing the same
raise
songs
money.
And get drunk and
Yeah, and quite a few of them get drunk.
The food was good. A lot of local restaurants came and brought food, and the mayor was there.
That was kind of weird. I was like, they were like, "Hey, Mayor Danbury."
As I was loading the outside stage, he said something about knowing Kyle since he was like a student teacher or something, and
isn't that precious?
Yeah. But I did 3 separate performances.
Yeah.
I had to move amps and gear back and forth between the inside and the outside stage.
And I got sunburned from sitting in the sun for what, 15 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah. sitting in the shade for 15 minutes, and I got sunburned.
But
so it's been a day.
It's one of those few occasions where everybody turns up and you see people you haven't seen in a very long time.
Yeah.
And,
since the last one.
I mean, I remember, I was telling you earlier, I ditched my 10-year high school reunion to go play one of these.
Well, that's all right. We'll go to the 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, it is a good... I've known Jeff almost 20 years at this point. He always works so hard to put this thing together.
No, they all did a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully next year it'll come back to a place closer to us.
Maybe.
It's migrated, It used to be at the Spot in Bethel, and then it was at Eddie's here in New Milford a few times, and now it's at Sugar Hollow in Danbury. But, the point of it is to get, our good old friends behind a good cause. And
we're raising money, we're raising awareness, we're having a great fucking time doing it. And everyone who performed did such a great job.
Jeff was gracious enough to allow my newer band to have a spot.
It was very good.
Yeah.
It was very good. So I'm glad it went well, and I'm glad we're home.
Yeah.
And now
in bed where we belong.
In bed without shoes on.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it must have been a seriously long time since I've worn heels for that long.
I found a great way to make vegetarian chili not vegetarian anymore.
Well, you put pork on it.
Yeah, there's a big pot full of pork, and I'm just like, score.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
And now we're here. And we're here to talk. And when we talk, we have 3 rules, right?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. No judgment, nothing personal, and don't be a dick.
There were no dicks today.
No, there really weren't.
Nobody was a dick.
There weren't. No, everyone was very cordial, very, very kind to each other.
As they should be.
Yeah, so it was 100% a good time. Yeah. On that note, I'd like to talk about something.
Yeah.
We started briefly to talk about it,
and the spark of genius came to us.
Well, this is a conversation that I have had with you and with others countless times in the last, probably the last 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
I've been fighting social media for the same amount of time, especially the last 5 years, and I'm gonna dive right in. Hold on to your butts out there in podcast land, because
we're coming for the nipples.
We're gonna talk about nipples. We're going to talk about nipples and boobies. This is the boobie episode.
Oh, it sure is.
Yes. And it came up as it always does. It came up because we started watching that Woodstock...
The 99
yeah,
documentary.
that Woodstock docuseries on Netflix, which, as triggering as it is to watch that, honestly,
Well, we can get into that later.
Yeah. You know, I mean, you can't talk about Woodstock, any of the Woodstocks, without, you know, talking about naked people. Because, let's face it, people were naked.
Just running around.
Yeah, just running around with their bodies
showing
all over
off
the
what
place.
the universe gave them.
Yeah, and of course I had to pause it. And I had to say, and I believe I prefaced it by saying, okay, I have to say something. And I mean, when you see a pair of tits and I say, okay, I have to say something, you know I'm coming for it. And now the rest of you know it too. I am a firm advocate for equality when it comes to toplessness.
Well, as you stated in several other episodes, you were against censorship of any kind.
I am against censorship of any kind.
Which I find admirable.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
How do you feel?
Well, because when we first started talking about this, at the time it didn't appear like you knew what my reaction was going to be. I think you had a preconceived notion that my reaction was going to be much like everyone else's, and it's like, oh, it's fine for men to be topless out in public, but not women. And I disagreed because, I mean, take my discomfort with, you know, having my own shirt off and out of the equation. I don't really want to see men without their shirt off either.
Quite frankly, though, it has absolutely nothing to do with what people do or don't want to see. That's the whole point. Yeah. I knew exactly that was going to be your reaction because we've had this conversation before.
Well, I did preface this by saying this was the first time we talked about this.
It wasn't, though.
The first time we talked about this, I had said, no, I don't have a double standard when it comes to this. If women can't be free to be topless in public, then men shouldn't either.
And I knew that you didn't necessarily have a double standard. I wasn't anticipating that you would have a double standard. But I knew, because you have said it to me before, I knew that you would prefer, I think you personally would prefer that no one was topless in public.
Yeah.
And that's what you said. And it doesn't upset me that is your opinion at all. I don't care if it's one way or the other. You know, if we want to say men can't be shirtless in public either, it's certainly going to make swimsuits much more interesting.
I mean, as long as it's, you know, the rules applied equally.
Yes. But the reason for the rules is the part that bothers me and always has. And as I was saying, when we were watching that Woodstock show, the thing that got me and has always gotten me is the idea that the reason why we censor women's breasts, the reason why we censor female presenting nipples, and I say female presenting nipples as opposed to female nipples, because I'm being inclusive here, because when it comes to the idea of the female nipple, if you are dealing with censorship of, let's say, trans men who are not, who are not even post-op or anything like that, they still technically present with female nipples. But you also have trans women who present with female nipples who have also not had any top surgeries. But because they don't technically have breasts, because they were born biologically male, social media will not censor them. So there is a wide berth of discrimination when it comes to censorship. And that's the part I have a problem with. And the reason why we have that field of censorship is because we as Americans specifically have gone out of our way since, I would say, the middle of the 20th century to sexualize female breasts. And it's the reason why, they say that it's, it's gross or rude to be breastfeeding in public. But
I've never understood that.
I've never understood it either. But people say it. They say it's inappropriate to breastfeed in public, specifically because the breast and especially the nipples, because the nipples are the apparently inappropriate part. That's why lingerie magazines and lingerie catalogs have always been airbrushed. They've always had the nipples airbrushed out. Because the nipple, for some reason, on women is sexualized. It's almost
triggering.
It's almost fetishized to a point where if you see a nipple, that is screaming sexuality for some reason. And that's why it's inappropriate for a woman to breastfeed in public. At least it was. I think the laws have changed now to accommodate for breastfeeding. Certainly censorship has altered itself. It's allowed the gray area for when it comes to breastfeeding. Social media platforms specifically. I know I'm just talking a lot. But
I'm letting you talk.
Social media platforms especially have tried to sort of gray their censorship ideas when it comes to if something sexual is illustrated for the purposes of art expression. And I mean, I've seen pencil drawings on Instagram, pencil drawings of, full penetration. I don't particularly find that appropriate for social media.
Have you seen some of the tattoos that Courtney posts?
Yes. And that's just it. Is that, when you post something gruesome on Instagram specifically, when you post something gory, there is a sensitive content warning that most of the time is put on that so that you understand that when you swipe, you are about to see something gruesome.
For those who don't know, there's this one tattoo artist that we both know who specializes in very graphic, very X-rated,
very graphic,
small scenes, if you will, of sexual acts and
very graphic.
very provocative.
Very provocative. So it's this idea that, and what I said about with regards to, the idea of these women walking around topless at Woodstock is that back then, before it was really a more normalized thing, let's say, it was very taboo and it was very provocative. And the idea about, the sort of attitude towards it was, well, if she's got her tits out, then she's fair game.
Meaning what?
Meaning that, it's sort of...
That she's asking for...
Basically, yeah, it's the asking for it. It's like when you think about, like, Girls Gone Wild and stuff. It's like, let's get a bunch of drunk chicks around and we'll see if we can, we'll give them a free t-shirt if they show us their titties.
You have to agree that there's a certain amount of people who are just asking for it.
No.
No. You can't say that and then say that there's not a single girl who does something like that and who's not just seeking attention.
Seeking attention is different from asking for it because it's the connotation that goes along with the quote unquote asking.
Yeah, but asking for it is not being specific enough.
Right. It's the connotation.
We're using asking for it as a means of describing, asking to be assaulted. Yeah.
Yes. Now, there are plenty... I mean, it's the same idea of, some college dude with rock hard abs, finding any excuse to take his shirt off. And it's like, yeah, he's seeking attention too. But we don't do anything about that, is the thing. Nobody really gives that as much of a second thought as you do if you see some girl walking around with nothing on top.
This poses an interesting deep dive because I'd like to read into how the breast or the nipple at least became sexualized however many years ago. Because I mean, if when you look back at women in society over the course of history, like there was a time where you couldn't show ankle, right?
There was a time when you couldn't show ankle, yes. Yes.
Those sexy ankles.
Well, you like mine.
I mean, I like everything about it, but that's just me.
But I mean, you also have to think about the fact that, in the early 20th century, I mean, again, you have old-timey swimming costumes for both genders that were full coverage. Full coverage, tops and bottoms.
I mean, this is really one of those things that I don't have much of a horse in the race, but I mean, I absolutely agree with your opinion that things should be applied equally out of fairness.
Now, what I went one step further to say when we started talking about this morning was that I truly believe that if we allow for the lawful
Exposure.
if the lawful exposure of female breasts, that over time that exposure will desexualize,
Desensitize.
not even desensitize necessarily, but lessen the sexualization of the breast. And it's not that people aren't going to find it sexy. It's that they're not going to see it as a taboo thing. And the fetishization of it is going to go away.
My answer to you this morning was, look at what's happened with marijuana. 10, 15 years ago, marijuana was still at this point where you didn't talk about it. It was still, a high enough of an offense to where you could be arrested for possession, use, distribution, this, that, and the other thing. Now it's commonplace I could smell it from the time I walked into the bar.
Yeah.
I could smell it on stage. I could smell it out in the parking lot, and it's nothing now. Hell, what are we in now? 2024. Almost 15 years ago, I was in Denver, and it had just become commonplace, and it was, everyone treated it like it was nothing. So, over time, as you're right, as we're exposed more and more to it, and it becomes more of a norm, then people will associate less and less with what we associate it with now.
Well, you had a different reaction this morning.
What was my reaction this morning?
Your reaction this morning was more along the lines of that it will actually cause more trouble.
Well, there is that aspect of it, yes. At least in the introductory period. Because you have to figure that not everyone is going to be as reverent about it. There are going to be a fair amount of people, I think, that would say women are just asking for it. And they're going to use that as an excuse to justify their actions, regardless of how reprehensible they may be.
And do you think that that is a justifiable reason for perpetuating the censorship of women's breasts?
No, but you and I are having a discourse now that is, leading to the ultimate conclusion, which is, taking away from the sexualization of it and bringing it to the forefront of equality.
Now, you had said also that if you were just out and about walking around and you, on a hot day, and you saw some tits, that you would be ultimately distracted.
I'm distracted by any woman who exposes that much of herself.
Yeah, but I also said that has nothing to do with the fact that it's a breast.
I'm distracted by you.
You're distracted by me?
Here's the thing, for those listening, my wife walks around this house naked 99% of the time.
Yes.
And it can be very difficult to stay focused at times.
Now that doesn't sound like a me problem though. That doesn't sound like I should cover myself because I'm distracting you.
Oh, I would never ask you to. I would never ask you. That's my hang up, but
But we do ask that of others.
Well, that's just it. As I said to you this morning, not everyone is going to be as reserved as I am.
And I don't think that is just cause for saying, well, it's a safety issue. You see that in schools these days. You hear all about, and it's been like that since I was in middle school, I would say. The idea of girls shouldn't dress a certain way, and girls are sent home.
Oh, yeah.
Being dress coded and everything. Girls are sent home nowadays, for being dress coded and everything, because it's distracting people. It's distracting the boys.
Well, when somebody is trying to garner that type of attention, for a specific reaction, it doesn't matter whether you're male or female, it doesn't matter what the article is in question, that should be dealt with.
When I was a senior in high school, we did not have air conditioning, and in my school, we did not have air conditioning, and it was a 97-degree day one time. And I left gym class, me and a bunch of my friends, we left gym class, we were walking to our environmental science class, and one of these women in the hall stops us and tells us we need to change. And these are the hall monitors, the women they had monitoring the halls, had bags of oversized t-shirts, like donation t-shirts and stuff. just in case someone was dressed inappropriately. And we were coming from gym class on a 97-degree day wearing spaghetti strap tank tops. Not low cut, not crop tops or anything like that. They just happened to have thin straps on the shoulders. You could see our bare shoulders. Gasp. And
that's hot.
we were told to cover the fuck up.
Girls used to wear that in my high school all the time. Nobody
Now,
ever said
I
anything.
remember being on the lunch line one time when I was a junior. I was wearing a spaghetti strap tank top, just like I described. The girl standing directly next to me was wearing a top that was ruched down the sternum. I'll paint a word picture. It was this little cap sleeve shirt, this little puff sleeve shirt, and it was ruched on the sternum so that the neckline came down to her, past her cleavage, and up from the midriff, or like literally, so that, I mean, it literally was a V neck and a V midriff. So you could see, and I mean, that was the days of hella low-rise jeans also. So, I mean, you saw basically her entire abdomen in this shirt. And I was told to cover up because you could see my shoulders, because you could see my bra strap.
Well, you're also talking about many, many years ago in a school setting, whereas nowadays I don't think, the public school system is nearly as strict when it comes to that sort of thing.
Wrong. I have friends who have kids in middle school and high school who have been dress coded before, who have been told in parent-teacher meetings that their children need to dress more appropriately because specifically they are causing a distraction to the other students. Girls shouldn't dress that way because the boys are getting erections.
Well, what do we know about juveniles? When you tell them not to do something, that's like license to go and do it.
It's not that anyone should be told to do that. That's just it. A girl of any age, whether you as a parent are permitting your daughter at a young age to dress what would be considered provocatively, that's a parenting decision. And that's something, that's judgment I will reserve for another day, because I'm not here to judge. I have my opinions, but I'm not here to judge. But to be told that you need to dress differently because you are distracting sexually. First of all, if you say that a teenager is sexually distracting, you are sexualizing a teenager, which in and of itself is disgusting.
I mean, you're putting much of the emphasis on, the female aspect of it. The women need to be covered up, women need to do this, women need to do that because of what it makes men do or feel.
Well, in my experience, it's the women who are told to cover up. We barely see men being told to pull up their pants. I mean, you got full asses out there, full ass underwear out there.
I mean, I don't condone that either.
But men wearing pants with belts.
I think
there are belts on these pants, and the pants are down below the ass cheek.
I think the bigger issue here is the fact that there is such a lack of consideration on both parties' sides for appropriateness, for what is deemed appropriate in certain settings.
Okay.
So we're largely talking about school settings here.
In this instance, yes.
Now, the justification for women covering up because it gives men that's ridiculous, okay? I mean, a human being, male or female, should be able to control to some degree their urges.
Well, when it comes down to it, men and women, males and females both, have one private part each. One. And it's in the groin. Mm-hmm. It's in the crotchal area. Okay?
I took biology.
Breasts are not private parts. They're not sex organs. Ergo, there's no need to say it's inappropriate for them to be seen. There shouldn't be. But they are deemed inappropriate, but only when it comes to women.
If it were legal for you to go out topless right now, would you?
Absolutely.
Well, I know you would.
On a beautiful day, I mean, imagine, on a beautiful day, even if I'm not out in public, I could be in my backyard in my backyard.
Well, that's your own private property.
It doesn't matter.
You should be able
that's
to.
Not how indecent exposure law works. If you have reason to believe that you can be seen, for example, if we lived and we had a yard, right?
Mm-hmm.
We had a house, we have a yard, and the yard is fenced in. But the house next door to us has a second-story window.
You can see over the
and
fence.
that window can look down into our yard. I could have the police called on me for being topless in my own backyard.
They could be called, but it doesn't mean they're going to do anything.
But it's still illegal.
I would check on that.
It's illegal. I have checked on it. Trust me. Now, I look both ways now when I go outside naked.
But an argument could be made that it's your property, you are on your property, and they're encroaching on your property.
But it's not how the law is written. It's not how the law is written.
Well, I think that you go
out in the backyard in your underpants, and it's perfectly fine because your junk is covered up.
Well,
I go outside in my underpants, and it should be perfectly fine because my junk is covered up, but it's not because my titties are still out.
So what's the excuse for nude beaches then? How do they get away with it?
They have to declare that it's a nude beach. It's specific property. I think it actually has to be like a certain distance from family beaches or something like that. But my point is that
That's not what I'm laughing at.
My point is that it's a very archaic sense of law. It's a very archaic sense of it's a
very archaic argument is what it is.
It is a very archaic argument. And I think that's just it. Is that
100% agree with you.
I think it's time we did away with it.
But what makes me laugh is that transitory period where, as we discussed before, there's going to be some casualties. There's going to be some fights and some arguments and some discrepancies.
Yeah.
And you know what else there's going to be? There's going to be a lot of women hitting their men being like, stop looking!
Well, maybe.
Because, at least in the beginning, it's going to be really difficult for men to not have their eyes follow the pair of tits that's walking past them.
I hate to break it to you, but it's not just going to be men who are looking at those boobies out there.
No, but men are the ones who are going to get shit for it.
No, because women are going to also go through a period where they're going to start to second-guess themselves a lot.
And the sooner we get to that point, the sooner we get past it, and the sooner we can stop having these discussions.
Because I'm fucking sick of this. I'm sick of seeing these shows where they're just like, oh my god, did you see her tits? Did you see these people are just walking around naked, man? It's crazy.
There's nudity on Twitter now.
Wild. Oh, there's been, we talked about
I know,
that.
but I told you, I was listening to this podcast
the
other day where they said they did like a standards and practices thing about it now.
You can show full penetration on Twitter.
Yeah.
You can show actively penetrating, full penetration on Twitter. Oh yeah. I mean, I've taken advantage of it.
There's really no restriction to, any of that kind of stuff. And because what did we do when we were younger? If we wanted to see that kind of stuff on the internet, we just lied about our age. Or we went to sites where it didn't require you to put in an age.
Yep.
If they're gonna, whoever wants to see it is gonna see it.
I mean, that's just it. And I remember having a lot of my Twitter posts flagged for sensitive content, and it's like, fine, so tell people my shit has sensitive content in it. I don't care about that, but do not make threats about banning my accounts or take down my artwork and everything. A lot of my photography on social media is based in the idea that there's nothing fucking wrong with the human body.
And that's the bigger issue at play, and it's the need to apply the rules equally across the board.
Yes.
You can't imply it for one and not another.
Exactly. And, it's the same idea that, if you go for a job and you work in an environment where they say men can't wear earrings. Mm-hmm. It's like, yeah, you can't do that. Because women can wear earrings, and sexism works both ways.
Of course it does. I remember when I applied to the movie theater back when I was like 18,
yeah. And
my hair was, down to my tits. And they were like, you got to cut it. Because they had just switched over to the new corporate whatever. And they're like, oh, this is... They actually showed me a booklet of what each gender is supposed to look like in the new uniform. And they're like, yeah, men are not allowed to have long hair. And I go, well, I've just spent the last however many years growing this. I'm not cutting it for you guys.
Were women allowed to have short hair?
Yeah.
Well, that's bullshit.
So I was just like, you're not going to be paying me enough to lose my hair.
I mean, that's just it. It's the idea that, men can't wear earrings, men can't wear makeup, men can't wear nail polish. And it's just like, these may be controversial ideas, but they're not inappropriate.
They're far less controversial than they were, say, 15, 20 years ago.
And that's why we got to start getting the tits out. Because 15, 20 years from now, it's going to be fine.
I mean, I certainly didn't think that we'd be where we are with marijuana as soon as we were.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, that's something else another race I don't have a horse in.
But I mean, agree or disagree, whether you have a horse in the race, agree or disagree that the rules have to apply to everybody.
I think the subject matter is irrelevant. I believe that the rules need to be applied equally. So if you want to walk out in public with your breasts hanging out, by all means, go right ahead. And if somebody catcalls you, I'll be the first to smack that bitch.
Well, now I have to ask you a question.
What?
This is not a trap. Okay. If those indecent exposure laws were lifted tomorrow and I was permitted to, let's say, walk around Main Street on a hot summer day with my boobies out, how would you feel?
I mean, it wouldn't really...
most of the planet has seen my breasts. So
I probably wouldn't be bothered by it because of the fact, again, you walk around here naked all the time. And this is our home.
Right, but if I were oot and a boot, how would you feel about it?
I think if it...
Being your wife that I am.
I think if it were to bother me, then I would be bothered just as much, if not more, by the fact that, my naked body is out on the internet.
It certainly is.
I mean, I still am not crazy about the idea, but I also I don't dwell on it.
But I mean, is that a self-consciousness thing or is that an exposure thing?
Self-conscious.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not crazy about the way I look, but I've also been the bigger advocate of, I'm not necessarily the audience for that. It's just like tonight with the show. Like you said, we sounded fine.
I thought you sounded great.
A bunch of other people said that we sounded fine. I thought we sounded like trash because I couldn't really hear anything.
No, you sounded
And I
great.
was motioning to the sound guy. I'm like, you got to turn me up in the monitor. You got to do this. You got to do that. And so, again, subject matter is irrelevant in that sense as well because it's, what you perceive to be good or bad may not necessarily be perceived the same way by the audience it's intended for.
So
with that being said, would I be upset with you walking around topless tomorrow? No.
Okay, so...
Got off on a bit of a tangent there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I wouldn't be upset because, me personally, I mean, you see me, I don't go around taking my shirt off. Because I choose not to.
That's your choice, yeah. But if you made the choice to take your shirt off and, a cop told you had to put your shirt back on.
I'd put my shirt back on.
But if you made the choice to take your shirt off, but a cop told you that's inappropriate, you can't do that.
I'm not the type of person to stir the pot like that. If that he's going to tell me to put it back on, I'm going to put it back on. I'm going to go somewhere where he's not, and I'm going to take it back off again.
It just shouldn't have to work that way.
It shouldn't, but, it's...
Right. Agree or disagree? The female body should not be sexualized as much as it is.
I mean, I sure like sexualizing it.
Yes, I know you do. But across the board...
I don't know that I can answer that.
Do you believe that the female body is more sexualized than it should be?
More sexualized than it should be.
And when I say sexualized, I mean you are conditioned to understand that breasts are, you want to catch, at a young age, you want to catch a peek of a titty because it's, you don't get to see them all the time.
I'm not the right person to be asking that question because I'm an admirer of the female form.
Yeah.
I just genuinely admire the composure of the female body. So do I think it should or shouldn't be sexual? I can't answer that because in my lifetime, the female body to me has always been sexualized.
Okay, let me ask you this. Do you believe it's necessary to censor female bodies more than male bodies?
I think it's necessary to censor them to anybody under the age of 18. I mean,
Fair.
as we said before, if somebody wants to see it, they're gonna see it.
Yes.
I mean, I was a 14-year-old kid once.
And you wanted to see boobies.
I still want to see boobies, you know? But, I mean, we're getting back to what's appropriate and what's not. Didn't we do an episode on what's appropriate and what's not?
We talked about it.
I mean, like, for example, there's that guy who always hangs out in the center of town who's always dancing very provocatively, and he doesn't care who walks by.
I mean, in all fairness, I'm pretty sure that guy's on acid constantly.
Probably. You guys know who he is, the one who has the sign that says something about an attack rooster.
He does have a sign about an attack rooster.
Now, you want to dance like that? By all means. I'm not going to be the one to tell you not to. But please, if you were to ever listen to this podcast, don't do it when there are children walking by. Because if children want to get into that sort of thing when they're older, that's their decision, you know? But it's not something you need to introduce to a child who isn't ready for that sort of thing.
Now, I have not witnessed this guy. I've seen him dance. But I haven't paid enough attention to know if I've seen this guy do anything.
He's been out there with his shirt off, doing the dance.
He's been out there with his shirt off, yes. But I haven't seen...
He's gyrating his hips and he's, thrusting his pelvis.
But I mean, is he like the way that like a belly dancer would?
No,
or is he like dry humping?
He's basically dry humping the air.
Okay, yeah.
And it's very upsetting to me as a parent because I don't want my kids seeing that sort of thing before they're at the appropriate age of comprehension. Now, I mean, because I don't know what that's going to say to them. I don't know what it's going to do to them. I don't know. I mean, I always encourage them to ask me questions about anything that comes up, but, it's not always the case. But again, that's just something that we were made to believe that you just don't do.
Yeah.
I'm also not one that seeks attention in a negative manner.
And I do not expose my body to seek attention.
Right. Now,
I dressed
provocatively.
I wouldn't call it provocatively, but I dressed a little hotsy-totsy today. Yeah. And there have been other times where I have done so.
Did you see the look on my face when you came down those stairs?
But that's just it, is that I wanted to look good because I wanted to hold your attention all night.
We're also grown adults.
Yes. Now, I did not dress this way to get attention from other people. If I had gleaned attention, the attention I sought from you, if I had gleaned that attention from others, it would nonetheless be unwanted attention. And I would have a reasonable right to say, excuse me, I do not want this attention from you. Whoever it would be that I would have to address that way.
And then I would have had to step in.
That's hot. But that's just it, is that, people see, like if you're wearing something low cut or, if you're wearing tight jeans or something like that, it's like, they think, like, well, if you're trying, you're trying to get attention. It's like, no.
Now, having been on the receiving end of that recently, yeah, I totally get it now. Because I was just wearing my regular clothes, and look at what happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Literally wearing almost exactly what I'm wearing right now, and yeah, I got some attention.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, stop!
I don't like it. That's just because I don't like it. That's because I wasn't there to fight that chick.
And I'm still self-conscious to the point where I'm thinking like, ew, like, what are you turned on by? It's just me.
I'm just glad the boys were there to tell her to go away. That makes me happy. But yeah, like it's not just my horse in this race. I've been advocating for, a non-bias when it comes to censorship. Again, I'm against censorship of all kinds. There are things I don't appreciate seeing or hearing or, knowing that people believe in everything because they do offend my sensibilities, on one level or another. But I do not believe that just because it offends me that it shouldn't be permitted. And that is truly freedom of speech and expression, is that regardless of whether or not something is even hateful to people, that doesn't give anyone the right to censor it. Period. And just because you think my tits are inappropriate It doesn't give you the right to tell me to cover up. Period. It doesn't give you the right to give me attention I didn't ask for. And it doesn't give anyone the right to tell me that I am somehow being a poor role model for people. Fuck all that. Fuck that noise. How do you feel?
I'm still pretty beat.
Yeah. But this was a good talk.
It was a good talk.
I think I got my point across pretty clearly. Yeah. Fuck censorship and free the nipple and all that jazz. And you kind of agree with me. Do you? Do you?
I'm a firm believer in fairness. In fairness, like, in its purest sense.
I think that's okay.
I don't like the fact that rules are not applied equally.
Amen.
That, I mean, you know how much I disdain hypocrisy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I disdain sexism. Of all the isms out there, that's the one that really gets my dander up.
I think I'm going to go for a ride on the bike with my shirt off.
Well, lucky for you, you can do that.
You can do that too.
No, I can't.
And then I can bail you out.
I mean, I can, but I'd have to really press myself against you so no one saw my nipples.
And then I could fucking give those cops a hard time. Be like, you arrested my wife? Have you seen her? Why would you arrest her? Look at her.
I love you.
She's gorgeous.
I think it's just time to take a nap.
Sure.
I think it's time.
It's time to finish that Woodstock documentary.
Yeah, let's go back and see what happened to all the naked people.
Guys, we'll see.
This was good.
We'll see you next week when we're a little bit more energetic.
Cheers to hoping.
Yeah.
But yes, thank you out there in podcast land for listening to that talking podcast. Find us on social media, DT Andy and JJ Star with 2 R's, on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Thank you, Andy, for our theme song.
Thank you for the nap I'm about to take.
And from the 3 of us here at That Talking Podcast, I'm JJ Star.
I'm Downtown Andy.
And we'll talk to you later.